You are listening to the Success Leaves Clues podcast,
where we're having conversations with regular people doing outstanding and legacy-changing things in corporate America and entrepreneurship.
If you're looking for the blueprint to help you make less mistakes on your journey to freedom and ultimate purpose, then this is the podcast for you.
And now, here's your host, Dr. K. Dr. K.
Calvin, you do so much in real estate. It's your way of creating wealth, but why real estate out of all the things you could invest in?
Yeah, man. So you know what? It's very interesting you asked that, Dr. K, because a lot of people are looking for a way out, right? A lot of people are 9-to-5ers and they're looking just for a better security blanket. For me, I chose real estate because it was something that I understood, something I have a passion for. I started real estate at a really young age. I was 17, 18 years old. And just like any normal kid, they want to get out their parents' house. My mom and dad was really, really strict. So I wanted to do my thing. I'm a young man. So I was going to Temple University and I was going to rent an apartment to get out of my parents' house. And I stumbled across a sale for a duplex in an area. It wasn't a great area, but the price was right. So I bought a duplex for $5,000. Moved into it. It was like a party house in the beginning, and then I started taking real estate serious. But what really opened my eyes up for real estate was as I was there going to college, I was there for probably about maybe a year and a half. A gentleman who was, he had his own entrepreneurship, a pharmaceutical gentleman, running his own private pharmacy business, right? So he came to me, he wanted to buy the property. At that time, I didn't know nothing about selling the property, anything, but he said, hey, I'm going to buy this property from you for $60,000. Now, mind you, me back in the 90s, 91, 92, $60,000. I said, what? I thought he was joking. He came back a couple of weeks later, had a bag full of money. He had me sign these documents. I had no idea what I was signing. He took a picture of my school ID. He gave me the money. I grabbed as much clothes as I could, put in my book bag. I ran back home with the money, showed my mom the money. And at that point, I was like, if I can do this with him, I can do this with everybody, right? I thought I was rich, right? Lo and behold, the money went probably within another 2 to 3 months, right? $60,000 was very, very fast. But one of the things that I did do with the money was I went and bought more properties. And then I started buying properties. I started fixing them up. And then I took a portion of that money and started learning real estate like a business. And at that point, Doc, I never looked back. It was very, very successful for me. I started my real estate career with that, picking up mentors, picking up my real estate license, because I wasn't sure exactly how to do the paperwork. So I took myself back to school. I was in school for business management and criminal justice to be a lawyer. I went back and changed my major to business management only. And I took that money and went to real estate school to teach myself about real estate. So that was my story of how I did it. Real estate has its ups and downs, right? But one of the things I say all the time, Doc, is that as long as you don't quit, you never lose in real estate until you quit. And I've been doing it since 91, 92. And I've just been very successful with it. And it's something that I understand. And, I tell people, you're going to be the best at what you do when you understand the things that you're doing. And real estate was just that for me. And I love it. I love it. I'm real estate every day, all day, 24/7.
That's a long stint. You've got a long career in real estate. And to do it at such a young age, it doesn't sound like you had a mentor or anybody to coach you through it. How did you have I'm going to say the guts to just go for it? Because that's what usually holds people back, is saying like, look, I'm going to fail, or how do I go about doing this? And you just had a natural knack for it.
Yeah, I did. So like I said, the biggest thing was I wanted to get out of my parents' house. Right. The one thing that I did learn by, going to school, I did have a 9-to-5. So I don't want anybody to think that, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. No, we were in poverty as well. So I was working my 9-to-5. I was learning different things. I was a store manager of a retail supermarket. Then I became a district manager. And I just took what my job was teaching me and applied it to want to run my own business. Right. In the beginning, I didn't have a mentor, but I eventually did get a mentor after a while. But the one thing that I believe in is that 3 things stop you from being successful: money, time, and fear. Right? Money, time, and fear. So we all got the time, right? We're always on social media, strolling and doing different things. So the time is evident. The time is there. Sometimes we struggle a little bit with the money because we feel like we don't have the money to get started in investments. However, if somebody call you and say, hey, we're going to the club, you find the money to do that. Or if somebody call you and say, we're going to shoot to Miami and turn up, you find the money to do that. So the money and the time is there. You just have to reallocate the money that you were already spending and put it back into an investment. My biggest challenge, and where is a lot of other people's biggest challenge, is the fear. It's the unknown. Like, am I going to make it? Mm-hmm. If I put my money into this one investment, what if it goes wrong? But I think to myself that, what if it goes right?
Yes.
If I'm still working my 9 to 5, my 9 to 5 was my first silent partner. So I made a lot of mistakes in real estate. I took some losses or some lessons. I had some wins, but the one thing I didn't do was give up. And I wanted to bet on me, right? Mm-hmm. Then at my job, I probably had 2 jobs in my entire career. I was a store manager. I moved up from being a store manager to a district manager. Then that particular company filed bankruptcy, closed up. Then I went to another company and I became a district manager over there, then became a regional manager over there. And what I realized is that if you put too much time and energy to somebody who can feed you, you also give them the power to starve you. And I realized that I was not going to put myself in a situation where somebody can control my future. I was asking, can I take a vacation? I was asking, can I take time with my family? I was asking, please, do I have permission to do these certain things? And when I started building up my real estate portfolio, I realized that I was making almost 50% of the same amount of money in a half of year that I was making for an entire year that my job was paying me. And I was only doing this on the weekends. I was doing this part-time. So I'm working my 9 to 5, putting in 40, 50, 55 hours a week. I'm working real estate doing 15, 20 hours, and I'm making half of my salary. I was getting paid, $110,000, $115,000 a year. And here it is. I made $65,000 in a half a year with real estate. I had to take a step back and say, listen, the numbers ain't numbering. The math ain't mathing. It's time for me to put 40 hours, 50 hours into the real estate. And then I started working part-time because I was scared to give my job up because I had benefits there. It was what the norm was. Every day I'm in this routine. I'm in this
felt safe.
I felt safe, right? So when I transitioned and did the 40 hours, 50 hours in real estate full time and did my job 15, 20 hours, I just kept working until I felt that I felt comfortable enough. And then I respectfully fired my boss.
Disrespectful. Hey, sometimes you got to let them go, right?
Yes,
so you can get out there and fly.
Absolutely.
You made a good point with that first job, with you being in management. That was your first and silent partner. And I think sometimes people put the carriage before the horse, and they're like, look, I want to quit my job. I want to become an entrepreneur. And you need seed money. You need capital. You still got to eat. You still got to pay your bills. Yep. And I like the way you made that transition. You found that sweet spot where you were like, look, part-time, I'm doing this. And I need to start to slowly transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I did that flip-flop, I made the job part-time and I made real estate full-time because I was afraid. Like I said, it's the 3 things: money, time, and fear. The money we can figure out, the time we can make, is that fear that you have to understand that, hey, what I'm about to embark on is exactly what I want to do. So when I made that transition, I stayed. I was still going to work. And to be very transparent, not to congratulate this, but I was hoping to myself that my job laid me off because I felt like if I would have got unemployment, I could have gave the real estate a little bit more. But that's not the solution, right? I don't want nobody to be, I'm get laid off. No, that's not the solution. For me at that time, I would have accepted that. But I still went to work. I cut my hours back. And once I got to that pinnacle of my life where I said, listen, I now have made my entire work salary is sitting in my bank account. 1 year. I put 1 year in my bank account. And that was help with my salary. That was help with, learning how to get an LLC, learning how to build up business credit, applying for business loans. Applying for business lines of credit. So I used some of that. I used some of the salary that I was saving. Once I put $100,000 inside of my bank account, I said, you know what? I'm really going to bet on me. So before I respectfully fired my boss, I took a leave of absence. I said, I'm going to take a leave of absence because I'm still afraid. And if it doesn't work, I can still go back.
I can go back.
Sit back, right? So I took a leave of absence for 6 to 8 months. And I just went, I just put all of my focus on real estate. I did it every day, all day. And then once I doubled that 100,000, once I started building up my residual cash flow, remember at a 6-figure job, my monthly cash flow was $5,000 to almost $6,000 a month. When I started making that out of real estate each month, then I said, okay, you know what? I just called them up. Hey, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back.
Hey, so, I'm hyped because I want to get into how you got that amount of cash flow and how you built that cash flow up. But before I get there, I really want to keep pounding the fear aspect and the mental state that you was in to make this transition. Because for somebody like myself, I was in the Army, and so I spent a career in the Army, and I wasted so much time because of fear. So, I mean, the best loan you could probably get, not as an investor, but the best loan you could probably get to get into real estate just as a personal house is a VA loan. And there are ways to turn that into investments too. The VA loan does have an investor aspect to it. Yep. I was so afraid that while I was in the Army, I never bought a house. And it would have been a cakewalk. It would have been so easy, you know what I mean? But I was just afraid. Nobody in my family had a house, nobody was investing. I didn't, know that I could do it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so I was really held back. And, you overcame that. And I just want people to kind of see like how you continue to make that transition.
Yep. So 2 things there with great points there is how did I start saving money? So the very first thing that I did was I understood that going out wasn't for me. I understood that, eating out at restaurants every Friday and Saturday wasn't for me. At one point it was, right? So what I did was every year that I filed my taxes and I got my tax return, I took that $4,000 or $5,000, I sat it in the bank, I didn't touch it. I didn't go out buying new cars. I put the money there and I didn't touch it. Then I started understanding my eating habits. Like, here it is every weekend. I'm going out with my friends. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I cut back. I learned how to cook a little bit. I'm not a good cook, but I learned how to cook a little bit. Right. So I did more meal preps at home to try to save more of my money. As I knew that I was starting to transition, I started going ham and going heavy at my job, picking up as much overtime that I can pick up, right? Trying to get bonuses and things of that nature. But I cut back and understood that every dollar that I get, I'm going to put inside of my bank account that I can save. Now, I have to live every day, right? So I was still doing my living expenses, but everything that I saved, I put that money inside of an account. I think I probably saved up maybe like $20,000, $30,000. After I had $30,000, I understood and learned how to build an LLC. Once I got the LLC, I transferred that $30,000 into a business account, and then I applied for another $50,000 off of that business through that particular bank, right? And the very first bank that gave me money was Key Bank and Chase Bank. They gave me $50,000 a piece. Now I'm sitting on $130,000. My salary is only $100,000. And that's how I was able to get there. You got to be disciplined and you got to know, hey, this is what I really want to do. Some things you have to sacrifice to get to the next level. And like I said, when I started putting overtime in my job, my focus was while I'm here, I was getting as much information as I could to run a business. I took all their HR documents. I took all their policies. I took all their HIPAA laws. Every document was on the computer. I printed it. I downloaded it. I put it in a binder and I took it home and I studied it and I translated their language into the language that I can do for my business. So I was still grooming my business and building the back end office of my business by the paperwork and the training that I was getting from my job.
Come on. So I love this. And the reason I love this so much is because so many people are willing to talk about the point where they're already at success, the point where they're making money and how many doors they have and how much money's coming in. But I want people to really understand the discipline that you put in, the overcoming the fear that you had to go through. And then also this part that you're talking about, taken from your job, you have to be and I talked about this in an episode that I did with my wife, and people don't understand that. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to be a great employee. If you're not willing to be a great employee, you studied the manuals, you studied those policies, the SOPs, and took those documents to help build your business. But people think that, okay, I start the LLC and now I got a business, but there's so much more to it than that. And people have to be willing to actually do the work behind the work.
Absolutely, Doc. And you know what? You hit it right on the nose that A lot of people do a lot of talking on social media, right? And I tell people all the time, it's not the quantity of the door, is the quality of the door. You don't need 100 doors, right? You need quality doors. So what I tell people is if you take what your monthly expenses are at that time back then, my month, and even today, to be honest with you, my monthly expenses is $5,000 a month. I took $5,000 a month. I times it by 2. That's $10,000. That's my minimum cash flow goal. So now what I took with that minimum cash flow goal was, all right, now I'm going to buy properties. Every door that I get, I have to make at least $500 to $1,000 cash flow per door. And the cash flow is after everything is paid. The mortgage is paid, water paid. The utility bill is net. A lot of people don't talk about net. A lot of people are online talking about gross just to get you, clickbait for you. And you got to look past those numbers. Everything is always about the net number. And some people don't calculate numbers properly. A lot of people do mathematical magician when it comes to numbers. The math ain't mathing, right? So I tell everybody that once you get the true net number, right, take another $100 off of that. Take another $100 off of that, and then that will be your true net number. I put in position that once I got to $10,000 a month, once I got to $10K a month, I was at my minimum cash flow goal. Some people say, oh, I want $50,000 a month. I want $100K a month. Why? If you couldn't handle the $5,000 a month situations and lessons that was coming with that, what you think you're going to do with $100,000 a month? Because you got taxes, right? You got cousins coming out the woodworks that you never saw before, right? So you got a lot of people that's digging for that. So I always tell people, live under your means, focus on your minimum cash flow goal, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be successful. So I focused on that first. The other thing that I did was I understood that the information that was coming from my job is the information of my success. People go to work every day and they complain, I hate my job. I don't like this. I don't like that. You got to change your mindset and think about, hey, it's not that I hate my job. I'm not leveraging the information from my job well enough in order for me to expand to the next level. It's not, I liked my job. I didn't love my job. I liked my job. But what I understood is that my job had something that I needed. It taught me customer service. It taught me how to read P&L. It taught me how to build SOPs. It taught me how to do inventory, right? It taught me all of these things that I needed to scale my business to the next level. So I thank my job. It's just that my job was the stepping stone, and I recognized it was time for me to step on.
Yeah. One thing you hit is you take off an extra $100 from the net.
Yep.
What's the reason for that?
For emergencies. Like a lot of people do a CapEx expense. I take that additional $100 off because at the end of the year, if I take $100 off of one door times 12 months is $1,200 for the year, right? If I got 10 doors doing the same thing, now I got $12,000 for the year. If I get any type of emergency, anything pop up, I have that cushion. So I'm disciplined that I need to do that. Sometimes I tap into it. Sometimes I don't. But if I don't tap into it, I just put that into another account and keep building it up because at some point you want to create your own bank. And I don't want to go too deep into them, but, like the last couple of years, I took that, 24,000 and I put that in my IUL life insurance policy and I let that IUL compound and then I borrow against that. So I stopped going to the bank, taking my down payments from the bank, and I take it from my IUL policies.
Yeah, that's incredible. So we like you said, we're gonna leave the infinite banking to the side because we don't. Hey, maybe we should do this again so we can get a little deeper, but we're gonna overwhelm people. I heard you talking. For me, it was a few days ago, but you was talking about all the different ways to invest in real estate, and how do you determine? Not you, but how do you, as in a person, determine the best way to invest in real estate?
Yeah. So actually, somebody asked me this online the other day, and my answer to them was the best way to invest in real estate is to invest in what you understand. If you understand wholesaling, then you find somebody who's doing wholesaling, not just talking about it, but something you can actually see, trust but verify. You can see that the person's doing it, and then you invest in that person to teach it to you. If you like to flip properties, if you like to hold properties, whatever it is that you understand is what you have to invest in. Now, my system that what I do is something called the cash flow roadmap, where I teach people how to buy, flip, hold until your cash flow supersedes your flips. If you follow that strategy in real estate, no matter how many lessons that you take, you're always going to land up on top, because if you buy a property, you fix it up, you flip it. You're going to take the residual income from that property. You're going to 1031 exchange it, and then you're going to buy a hold. So now you take that money, you buy the whole property. After you do the whole property, you're going to do the BRRRR method. You're going to fix the property up. You're going to appreciate the property, force the ARV, take out. I only take out 60 to 65%. A lot of other people take out 75%. You're going to take that money. Now you don't have to 1031 exchange it, because taking out a loan off of the property, taking the equity out, is not income, is a loan. So you don't have to pay Uncle Sam. So you're going to take that money out, split that in half, go back and buy you another flip. So it's buy, flip, hold until your cash flow supersedes your flips. So that whole property you have, you took the money out. Now you're going to place a tenant inside of that property that's going to service the loan. So now you're going to cash flow. After you cash out refi, you take that money out, you go back, you go buy another flip, and you just continue to process until you build your portfolio up. Once you build your portfolio up to a certain point, you can stop buying flips. So now you can stop worrying about paying Uncle Sam the residual, the income that you're making off of the flip, because your cash flow supersedes the income off of that flip now. And that's how you win in real estate. But to get started, you get started on what you understand. Forget about what you see online. Forget about what everybody talking about. Oh, I'm making $1 million over here. I'm making $1 million over there. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because here's the thing. It's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. So when some of those people be bragging, I'm making this, I'm making that. Well, what are you keeping from that? Because a real smart millionaire understands that if I make $1 million, I need to write off 900,000.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in $1 million bracket. I want to be in a $60,000, $65,000 bracket each year, so I'm paying less taxes. And people don't understand that because they get clickbait on the numbers. So if somebody's telling you what they're making, don't follow that. Follow what they're keeping, because what you're keeping is what's going to be successful for you. So understand, do real estate of what you understand. If you say, hey, I don't understand nothing, start off slow, do a flip. And the reason why you want to do a flip is because whatever lesson and error that you make in this particular property, you selling it anyway. So once you sell, you build up your history, right? And then you build up, your skill set. So then the next property you're going to hold, you have a better idea of what type of inventory that you want to hold for your future legacy.
Man, I'm tying two things together, as you just said. So you don't want to be in a $1 million bracket, right? Because you don't really want to be taxed on that. You don't need that amount of assets. But earlier you were talking about your overhead. And I think a lot of people don't take the time to nail down what their overhead is. So your overhead, roughly $5,000 a month.
Yes.
Whether you make $1 million, 10 million, or just a couple 100,000, you're free. So you're rich either way. We got to understand what rich and what wealthy is. And so a lot of times people are looking at, okay, well, I want this car. I want to seem like I have this. Yeah. But all you really want to do is have time freedom. All you really want to do is the same reasons why you left that job, is be able to make your own decisions when you want to.
Yep. So Doc, a lot of people, like you said, they confuse rich with wealthy. Rich is the money that you make, right? Wealthy is not money. Money is a tool to open up the door of wealth for you to own your time back. When people say I want to be wealthy, it's not a dollar amount. If you talk to anybody that really, really holds money, when I say hold money, they make the money and then they have the money that they hold in. They don't talk about, oh, I want more and more money. They talk about how much time do I have left? When you see millionaires, where they at? They in the gym. Mm-hmm. They're having conversations with other people of their caliber. They're sitting at the right tables to make more money. They're working out on their health. They're spending time with their family, and they're trying to absorb as much time as they have every single day. It's 24 hours in a day, and they're trying to spend at least 17, 18 of those outside of resting. That's when you know that you're wealthy. Wealth is not a dollar amount. Wealth is how much time do you own every day to yourself? And when I say to yourself, I mean your family and doing the things that you choose to do with your loved ones. That's wealth. It's not a dollar amount. It's not a dollar amount.
Man. And so get into real estate, anything that you're maybe passionate about or that you understand. If you don't really have, and I'm just recapping what you've taught me so far. if you don't really know, maybe start with flips. What about the capital to get in? So a lot of people, their excuse, right? Because it's an excuse, is going to be they don't have the money to do it.
Yeah. So everybody starts off with a roadblock, right? And that roadblock is, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. You found the money when you was in college. Yeah, but if you really think about real estate and you want to do it the right way, if you say, listen, go on FHA, you only need 3.5% down.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody have one of these. Everybody does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's walking around with one of these. But when you scroll through it every day, you have to ask yourself, the people that's calling me, right? Is that a deposit or is it a withdrawal? Are they an asset or are they a liability? So the people that are calling your phone, and you call people friends and you say, hey, I want to get into real estate, and you can't call somebody and say, listen, I want to get into this business. We need $10,000. If we can come up with 10 people to come up with $1,000, we'll come up with 10,000. We'll put this inside of a property. We'll fix it up. We'll flip it. We'll break down the profit, and then everybody will move forward. If you didn't like the process, you can go take you can take your profit and move on. If you did like the process, we'll continue to do it again. So money is there.
Yeah.
Money is there. It's the conversation isn't. We're talking about everything except for what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
You know, because the money is there. You know, I in my mentorship, right? I have mentees that say, hey, coach, you know, my credit score is low. I don't really have the money. So I asked them, I said, well, what is it that you talk about every day to people? Because I feel like if your credit score is low, if I got a 500 credit score and Doc, you're my friend and you got a 700 credit score, are you really my friend? Because what we really talking about on the phone every day, you got the 700, I got the 500. It's your due diligence as a friend. Remember, friend.
Yeah.
Tell, listen, Calvin, let me help you get that credit score at least to a 650. Let me help you get that credit score to a 680 so we can come together and I can teach you how to do something.
Exactly. Let me show you what I did.
Let me show you let me show you what I'm doing.
Or, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sometimes we having conversations with loved ones, family members, and friends, but we're not really helping them. We sitting over here on this level. They sitting over here on this level, but we talking about what happened on social media. We talking about what happened with P. Diddy. We talking about what happened to this person, that person. No, we need to talk about how to get you here. So then we can come together like this. And then we can start building. That's what the money is there.
Yeah.
The conversation isn't. The conversation is not there, but the money is there, Doc. The money is there. It's definitely there. And people think that, well, my credit score is shot, I don't have the money. Well, here's the thing. If you don't have the credit, but you have a job, and then your cousin or your family member got the credit, right? And this family member over here got the money. So then you create an LLC. You put all three people on an operational agreement. I'm coming with the information. You coming with the credit. Over here's coming with the money. We're going to come in and we're going to buy our first flip property. It's there.
Let's go.
It's the conversation. We're not having those type of conversations. But the money is there.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like the excuse will present itself if you're looking for one, right? It's not hard to find, but you just broke down exactly how you can have just a piece. All you need is one piece of the puzzle and you can come together. And I think another piece that people need is they may have that desire, but they need somebody that can coach them, walk them through it, or at least introduce them. And that's, that's how somebody gets in touch with you, so they can understand. Because if you're willing to, like you did with the job, and you took the time to learn and understand the SOPs and the policies, but people want to jump into real estate, but they don't want to learn the business of real estate.
Doc, oh man, I talk about this every single day on my social media. If you are doing real estate, but you're not learning the business of real estate, you will not be in real estate long. Mm-hmm. It's not a hustle. It's not a get rich quick strategy. Real estate is a business, and a lot of people don't do it. I say all the time that real estate leaves residue, and too many people's hands are clean.
Yeah,
it's too clean, right? So anything that you learn, and it doesn't even have to be real estate. It could be any business. If you're not learning the back office of your business, if you're not learning core values of your business, if you're not learning the standability of your business so you can withstand anything that comes your way, you're not really doing a business. You're doing a hobby. You're doing a hobby. And people need to understand that the business of real estate is extremely important. However, I have to tell them, You just can't find anybody. A lot of people will tell you that I do this and I do that. But the first thing I tell people is, are you hands-on? Can I pull up to your property? Can I go to where your office is and see the work that you're doing so I can see and understand that the work that you're doing is something that I want to learn? People talk about teaching real estate, but they're really teaching intellectual property, right? If I'm selling a course online, that's intellectual real estate. That's not hands-on real estate. So when people are selling these different things, you have to understand what they're selling to you, right? They're giving you the entry level of real estate inside of a course that you're buying, but you're not in the field. You're not hands-on. You're not going to the properties. You're not going, to the lumber yards. You're not going to the Home Depots. You're not going to the Lowe's. You're not really doing real estate. You're just talking about real estate. Talking about it and doing it is two different aspects.
Totally different. And honestly, that's the best way you're going to learn until you get, because there's theory is one thing. Mm-hmm. So you could take a course, you could learn all the terminology, all these different terms. It's ARV, net operating income, loan to value. Learn whatever you want to learn. But until you get out there and you get inside of a property and you have contractor issues or you have foundation issues, you know what I mean? Like you said, get that residue on your hands.
Gotta get that residue.
You're not learning.
You're not learning. And it's sad because I believe that even if you love your 9 to 5 and you enjoy being at your job, you still need some type of a business. You still need some type of residual income. Remember, you going to work is active income. You got to get activated to make that money, right? And most times you got to have active income before you get residual income, right? But don't get stuck at your job. Even if you love your job, hey, I love my job. I want to be here forever. I want to retire here. That's great. But start something on the side to give you some residual income. Start something where you can take the active income to put into the residual income. So now you can start printing money on demand. The key is making money in your sleep. You can't call out of work and stay in the bed all day and make the same amount of money, unless you got PTO time and sick time. But then what happens when that runs out?
Yep.
Right. So every day you sleep, you want to make money. You want to have that money machine being made while you're sleeping, printing money on demand. And that's exactly what it is. When you're in real estate and you understand real estate, you're going to get that residual income. So yes, you definitely got to understand and go to the people who are actually doing. There's a lot of people out here that really do real estate. And then you got some people out here that do intellectual property real estate. So there's a difference. There's definitely.
And it ain't hard to see, like you said, receipts going to show,
Receipts going to show.
Hey, shameless plug. Success leaves clues. You know what I mean? So
success leaves clues.
Like it's going to be there.
And the easiest thing is, I tell people, if you're not sure, just ask the magic question. Can I pull up when you're out in the field? Can I come see the property that you're working on right now? Oh, you're not working on no properties right now? Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not working, if you're not in the middle of a project, what you selling me? I don't want to talk about what you did last year. I don't want to talk about what you did 2 years ago. I want to talk about what you're doing today. If you're not working in a property right now today, what you selling me? I got to be able to pull up. I got to be able to get my hands dirty. I got to be able to walk through the process that you're doing, because what you did last year might not be working for you this year. What you did last month might not be working for you this year or today.
So that's a good point too, because you've been in this business for so long, since the early 90s. You've seen clearly every market cycle. And so, like you just said, what you did a couple years ago or last year isn't necessarily what's happening today. But to overcome another excuse that I hear all the time is the market currently today. So people are going to say interest rates are high, one excuse. Home prices are high, another excuse. What's your take on getting into real estate investing in today's market?
Too many excuses. I buy real estate every season, every cycle, every year. See, here's the thing with real estate that people don't talk about and teach you. There's never a bad time to buy real estate. There's never a bad time. Oh, the interest rates is up. Okay, switch your strategy. Oh, it's not enough inventory out there. Switch your market. What's happening in my market may not be happening in your market, right? Yeah. There's never a bad time to buy real estate. If interest rates are high, I have a strategy for that. I'm going to switch my strategy. If interest rates are low, I'm going to buy and hold because my cash flow is going to be higher. If the market, it doesn't have a lot of inventory in it, I'm going to find a market that does have inventory in it. But the most important thing too is this, Doc. If you're not buying nothing, then you should be working on your business. You should be building your back office up. You should be going back, making sure your tenants are good, making sure that you're increasing your rents, making sure the projects that you're on, that all your numbers are matching up. Your math is mathing. It's always something to do in real estate. So many people focus on, I got to buy. Oh, I can't buy right now, so real estate is not working. But what about the stuff that you already bought? What about the stuff that you already had?
Yeah.
And this is what I mean when I say real estate is a business, and you have to understand how to run the business. But there is never a market that I never bought in. I cleaned up during COVID. 2022, I bought about 20 to 25 single family homes. People stayed away from single family homes. Oh my God, single family homes, you can't make no money. Guess what? You know what BlackRock did? They bought up all the single family
homes. Yep.
Right? So in 2022, I bought 25 single family homes. You know what I started flipping in 23, 24, and 25? Those single family homes. So when I was buying them, the interest rates were 4%. I was going straight in with DSCR loans. I was buying them. I held them for 3 to 4 years. I put some tenants in some of them. Some of them I carried the note over for a year or two. And then 23, 24, I put them on the market and sold them. It's always something to do in real estate, right? Interest rates right now, like, I don't know, last year the interest rates was 8, 9, 10%, right? A lot of people panicking. You know why? Because they wasn't used to the terms. When I started in real estate back in 1991, my interest rate on my loans was 11, 12%. You telling me about 8%? What?
That's still a discount.
It's still a discount, right? I was spending 11%, 12% on my loans. When they dropped down to 4%, I lost my mind. I said to myself, I said, Doc, you know what? The banks are going to try to get this money back because this is unheard of. Yep. I pulled money out of everything. I pulled money out of everywhere and bought as many properties as I could because 4% was unheard of. And I'm talking 4% on DSCR loans.
Yeah.
DSCR loans at 4%, unheard of. So when people say, the interest rate is 7%, 8%, 9%, I'm like, okay, that's normal. Yeah. That's not, it's only abnormal for a new investor who never saw the double-digit interest rates. Yeah. That's why it appears to be abnormal to them. But
because they're new.
I'm good because you just trained your strategy. As long as you buy right, as long as your numbers are right going in on the buy, as long as you understand your strategy on what you're going to do. You can't buy a property and then say, I'm going to figure it out next year. I'm going to figure it out later. No, you got to say, when I buy this property, I got 3 exit strategies. I'm either going to wholesale the property, I'm either going to rehab the property and flip it, or I'm going to hold the property for a rental. As long as you keep those 3 strategies, you're always going to win when you buy right. You're never going to lose. You're never going to lose.
So you go in with 3 strategies. What's your primary strategy or objective? I got a feeling, looking at the hat rents due, that's probably long-term rentals. But yes. What's your primary focus when you're buying properties?
Yeah. So anytime that I see a property, the first strategy I'm thinking is, how can I hold this as a rental? Rent due. I want to see, how can I hold this as a rental? Once I'm getting inside the property, and this happens to me all the time, and I always kick myself in the head with it, is because I'll go in thinking that I'm going to hold it as a rental. While I'm in the middle of this project, here comes another property that's a better rental. So now I go after that property, I get that one fixed up. So then I flip the property that I wanted to do a rental on. I flip that property to take that money and buy more rentals. Now, some people might say, well, how could you do that if when you were building a property, you was building it for a rental? I don't build trashy rentals. I build my rental properties as if I can still put this on the property. I put this property on the market to be sold. Yeah. I'm not a slumlord. I'm not a good landlord. I'm a great landlord. Like, I want to make sure that I build properties that the person feels like this is home. When you get into real estate, if you in here chasing a dollar, if you only in real estate for a check, you're not going to make it. I'm in real estate because I want to provide luxury homes, affordable homes for people that want to be here forever. I'm not just throwing junk inside of my rentals. My rentals look like, the appliances the quality of the appliances might be a little different. Right. But the grade that I'm putting inside of my rentals is slightly below the grade that I'm putting inside of a flip. I'm not going from a low grade as a rental, high grade as a flip. I'm right in the middle for both. I'm right in the middle for both. And I can either sell it, I can rent it, or I can just clean it up and wholesale it.
Yeah, give somebody a house that they can be proud of and feel comfortable. And the hope is that they would take care of the property because they see the value in it.
Absolutely. And
if it looks like trash, they're going to treat it like trash.
Absolutely. And not only that, but think about the tenant you get. If you have a trashy unit, a quality tenant is not going to accept that. So now you have to lower your standards of a tenant and put a tenant in there that's going to accept the poor quality that you have, right?
Mm.
The other thing behind it is I hear a lot of landlords saying, oh, I'm not doing that because the tenant will tear it up. I got Section 8 tenants, they're going to tear it up. Well, here's the thing. If your tenant is tearing up your house or your apartment, how do you just blame the tenant? What's your SOPs? Are you visiting your properties every 90 days? Are you doing inspections once a year to make sure that you're keeping your properties up to specs? I'm in my properties every 90 days. It's either myself or my team. We're walking through. We're doing preventive maintenance. We're letting the tenants know that, hey, we are here. We're here to help you. I'm not here to badger you. I'm here to help you. What is it that I can do to help service you? When you service your tenants like that and treat them like people instead of paychecks, now you're running a business. Now you're really doing real estate. People get that confused. They think that, oh, I throw the tenant in there. They set it and they forget it until a problem occurs. And then when there's a situation, now you want to, oh, the tenant shouldn't have did this or the tenant shouldn't have did that. But what were you doing as the business owner?
Wow.
What was you doing as the landlord? Are you really tapped in or are you just chasing a check?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
So in your business structure, do you self-manage, like you're the property manager, or do you outsource that?
Nope. So I used to have property managers, but what happens is that when you have a property manager, you got to manage the property manager.
Yeah.
So what I did was, as my portfolio started growing, I started hiring my own team. I started hiring my own staff, and we do self-management. And the reason why is because our avatar of a tenant is a little bit different from somebody else's avatar of a tenant. We're running retirement homes. If you 45 on up, you got a higher opportunity to rent one of our units because that's our avatar of a tenant. Now we'll take anybody, right? So we don't discriminate, but our avatar of a tenant is we want that 45-year-old or older. If you 70, oh man, we don't even do background checks if you're 70 years old.
Yeah.
And you may be able to rent our units without no security deposit. You're 70 years old. My job is to make sure that the rest of the time that you have left on this world and this life is going to be pleasing. And you're going to thank our company for being pleasing to you. You can move into our unit. You ain't got to have no security deposit. This is your last stop. We want to make it as pleasurable for you as possible. Doc, the shortest tenant that I've ever had rent from us was 3 to 4 years. The highest tenant we have right now is going on 18 years.
Wow.
We don't have the turnovers.
That's a quality tenant right there. Yeah.
It's not only is a quality tenant, but we, around the holidays, we're giving out, gift cards, we're giving out food baskets, right? If a tenant called me and say, hey, I'm having an issue with this, we make sure we take care of all repairs within 24 to 48 hours. If I come to a place and I see that a tenant needs something, hey, the tenant not sweeping up right. Hey, Ms. Johnson, do you have a broom in the mop? I did, baby, but it broke. Guess what? I'm going to the dollar store. The next day we dropping off that broom and mop in a bucket. We're making sure that they have what they need to make sure that all the essentials are met. You have to keep in mind, a lot of these people they have set income. SSI, they can't afford certain things. So our job is, hey, what is it I can do to help you? Because the more happier you are, the more secure that check is coming in. And most times we're on Section 8 or we're using HUD-VAS, where though they're not even paying anything out of their pocket. So they don't have the money for the essential. And think about this. When I tell people, they say, oh, I want 100% payout for somebody with Section 8. If the person that you rent to is 100% payout, that means they don't have a job. That means they're not bringing in no income. That means they're sitting in your unit 24/7. Mm-hmm. How are they maintaining your unit with no money?
Yeah, right.
So that's why our avatar is a little bit more seasoned individuals, and we help them. Our younger individuals, we try to help them buy a house. Hey, you're going to rent from us. You can't rent from us more than 3 years. What is it that we can do to get your credit up? What is it that we can do to try to help you buy a house? Oh, you need some programs? We're giving you resources. So now the tenant is not thinking that they're a tenant. They're thinking that they're a guest. And we take care of our guests. We don't have tenants, residents, and we have guests.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. This might be the best layout of a tenant landlord relationship I've ever heard. I like that. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. And that's, listen, I mean, the better you treat your customer, right? People say all the time, like, I go to certain places and they don't patronize me. The customer service was horrible. What are they going to do? They're not going to come back. And bad news travels fast. Not the good news. It's the bad news that travels. Everybody want to gossip, right? So we take pride in treating people like people, and we take pride in people wanting to be in our units. I mean, we don't have an issue filling units. We got a waiting list actually, because we show the unit that's vacant to as many people as we can. And people are waiting for us to build our units. So when we go in, we do a full gut, we gut everything down, we build it back up, and then we put everything brand new in there. People are waiting for this. So we have no problems filling our units, and we take pride in it. We take pride in it.
Man, absolutely. I applaud you, man. I applaud the business. And I like what you're doing to provide more than just a place to live, but a service to these people.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's a wonderful thing. And it goes back to your question that you said is, why and how did you get into real estate? I have a passion for this. Mm-hmm. So when you have a passion for something that you're doing, it's not work. It's all love. I enjoy coming in my office every day. I enjoy going out to the properties. I enjoy talking to the tenants. It's all about what you put out in the world is what you're going to get back. Is what you're going to get back. And my tenants have called them like, hey, the maintenance guy didn't come sweep out front today. Okay. Because guess what? They don't know that I'm the owner. Okay. I'm head of maintenance. I'm the maintenance guy.
Yeah.
So I come in as the maintenance guy, and guess what? Everybody loves the maintenance guy. Because they know they know I work for the company. I'm a hardworking guy. I'm the maintenance man. So they want to tell me everything. They want to share different things with me. And, that's how we're able to improve, because we take their thoughts, we take the things that they're sharing with us, and we take it to the next level.
And you humble, not too big to be the maintenance man, not too big to be the property manager, not too big to, be the help for people. And, ego aside, rather than just being like, yeah, I got all these doors, I got these properties, I make this money. Yeah. You're there for the people.
Nah. And you know what I tell people, Doc, it's funny because people say, you don't talk about all the stuff that you do. You don't talk about how many doors you got. You don't talk about how much money you make. I tell them, why should I? My success is based on my mentees. My success is based on the people that I teach. Let them show you the stuff that they're learning. My work speaks for itself. I don't have to brag about how many doors I got, because it ain't about how many doors you got. It's about how much you cash flow, right? Yeah. I don't brag about, what my cash flow is each month, because my lifestyle might be different from somebody else's lifestyle. Like, I still enjoy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I have no problem with it. Yeah. And I got no problem going to whatever restaurant in the world to sit down and have a great meal. But that's for what?
Yeah.
There's no for that for me. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good, and I'm humbled about it, man. And when you have that passion, the money gonna come. The money gonna come.
It's a byproduct.
It's a byproduct, Doc. It's a byproduct. And one thing I wanted to tap in on, I missed. We talked about you being in the service. For all my vets out there, you have to really understand and listen to what I'm about to tell you. I have a mentee right now. She's a vet. She's been in the service for about 4 to 5 years. Every place that she got stationed to, she bought a duplex or a triplex. And she get moved around every year and a half, something like that, right? So right now she's sitting on 4 or 5 multifamily properties. Once she times out of her service time that she's putting in, she's going to go back and either transfer those properties, sell them from her name to her business name, because right now they're in her personal name, because you have to put it in your personal name when you're doing the VA loan. However, she took advantage of that VA loan. Guess how much money she put down for every property? $0. $0. And as long as they keep moving her around to stations, different places, she buys another property. And all they tell her is, no problem.
Yep.
No problem. So
no
if you
problem.
Out there, you definitely got to take advantage of that. That is if I had to measure FHA, NACA program, hard money loans, DSCR loans, the number one best product to buy a property is a veteran loan.
Come on.
It's the best.
Come on.
It's the best product. Definitely. People just got it. I wish I was a vet, man. If I could do anything different, one, I would still get in real estate because I love it, right? If I could do anything different, I would have never invested so much in other things that didn't teach me real estate. I would have invested as much as I could inside of real estate. I would have still got a job. I would have still stayed at my job. I would have still made the money from my job, but I would have invested more into my education of real estate, because I would have moved faster than what I did.
Absolutely. And trust me, I'm still kicking myself in the behind, because I'm in real estate now, but I missed those years. You know what I mean? I could have really built, man. And I'm talking about before 2008, Like, that's when I was in the Army. Like, I could have really smashed.
Up, man. You could.
But yeah, hey, I didn't know it was before social media. I didn't have that circle. You know, I was influenced by my surroundings. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Now you got social media, you got podcasts like this that expose people. I didn't have that. But man, absolutely. Great way to go. I'm proud of her, man. I'm proud of you teaching her and working with her too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And she's a great student, man. She a lot of her stuff is online because she travels a lot. And but when she do get a chance to come in town, she come in town and we talk about her properties. And one thing we do is when she do get a property, a lot of those are like turnkey. Because you know she getting the VA loan, so it has to be a condition for her to move in.
Yep.
You know, and then she does like little construction stuff with it, man. But she making a killing, man. Because once you get a multifamily, she's allowed to collect the rent, right?
Yep.
It's not like she bought a single family home and she has to explain why she's renting it out. She bought a multifamily home and she's young, man. She's like in her late 20s and she's killing the game and never really wanted to be in real estate. She did this because she felt like, hey, if I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy something that makes sense. And I was like, well, you can buy a single family home and sell it. She's like, well, why sell it though? She said, when I eventually have kids, I want to get them something. Yeah. Now, for me, I'm just like, you traveling all over the world though. You got properties here, this state, over there. Yeah. Like, you all over. She was like, yeah, but in the long run, she can either sell it. In the long run, she can do, you know, midterm Airbnbs, mid-rental. So there's a lot of things that she can do with it, but she's killing the game, man. She's taking that service money and she's putting it to work. So I'm very proud of her as well. Great stuff. Yeah, I appreciate you, Doc. Appreciate you, man.
Like I said, I don't want this to be the last time. So
for sure, man.
We're going to connect.
We definitely got to connect because, you know, I do want to come back and teach people how to set up their, you know, the LLCs and the way that I set my stuff up with my real estate. You know, and
let's do it.
For a takeaway is don't be afraid, y'all. It's 3 things that stop you from going into real estate: money, time, fear. You already got the time because you're watching this podcast. So, you know, you're rocking with us for an hour right now. So you definitely got the time to invest. Take this information, do something with it. The money is there. Go through this phone, audit this phone, find out who's an asset, who's a liability, find out who's calling you. Is it a withdrawal or is it an income, right? A withdrawal or is it a deposit? Find out the people that's in your circle, help the people in your circle, get that money, get inside of real estate. Don't be afraid. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Facts. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Success Leaves Clues podcast.
Be sure to follow Dr. K on Instagram at Dr. K Washington or the podcast page at Success Leaves Clues Podcast. We'll see you here next time.